Hey guys, this is Comic Uno, and today I'm doing a review for Arrow Season 1, episode, I want to say 7 or 8, it'll be on the top, but this is called State vs. Queen, and yeah, actually a lot happens in this episode, especially towards the end, and one thing I already guessed on Twitter beforehand, so I was very happy about that, but it still came as a surprise. Let's talk about this episode. Of course, there will be spoilers in this review because there's a lot to talk about. So in this episode, we get to see Moria's trial. Really, it is about Moria's trial in will she be guilty, will she not be guilty? But of course, there's one little fun fact that we find out throughout the episodes. The reason why she didn't want to go on trial is because she had an affair with Malcolm Merlyn. But in the end, she ends up being not guilty. Now, for me as a viewer, a little skeptical, like, why is she not guilty? All the facts made her guilty. And Oliver is the same way, and a lot of characters in this episode are like, oh, why is Moria not guilty? So I'll get back to that, because there's a cliffhanger for that. But we also have the villain, Vertigo, and Sebastian Shaw a little here, Brother Blood, who seems like that's going to be a bigger villain, like a Malcolm Merlyn villain, because we are seeing a little bit of the flashbacks. Has to do with the, seems like, has to do with the flashbacks, really, because of the Japanese serum giving them strength, so it seems like that's connected to Sebastian Blood. So we're seeing a little bit of that in this episode, but again, the main villain is Vertigo, and Vertigo is giving the sickness to all these different peoples, Dig, and almost gives it to Felicity, but Oliver sees the day, but has to kill Vertigo, and does kill Vertigo, to save Felicity, and I think that just shows how much Oliver does care for Felicity, and will do anything for Felicity, and he's like, I didn't have to choose, I just killed him because you're Felicity, I had to save you, there's no question. So I really like that moment, because I think this season really has been defining the moments with Dig and Felicity, showing how close Oliver really is to them. And I'm hoping they show that a little bit more with maybe the family also, because I feel like we do see Oliver and Dig and Felicity, they're very close, but he never really shows his family about that, and I hope we get to see those moments say, oh, this is Felicity and Dig. I'm good friends with them, so I'm hoping to see that in the future. Maybe I'll get them out of the hole of people figuring out that the Hood's connected to Oliver, and maybe just seeing that these people are connected to just Oliver. Because that's actually a big problem in this episode, because Vertigo does find out that Oliver is the Hood. Will that come back to him? Maybe. I think this definitely could come back to him in the end. So, again, I think maybe if Felicity and Dig became more of Oliver's life, this could end up actually saving his identity a little. So hopefully we'll see that in the near future. But let's talk about that cliffhanger. Guess who's still alive? Malcolm Merlyn. The reason why that whole case was so fishy is because Malcolm Merlyn was the person who saved that case, the one who made Moria not guilty. And we see that he's still alive, which I feel that we all knew he was still going to be alive, but we kind of forgot about because there's just been so much in Season 2. And Thea... yeah, Thea is the daughter of Malcolm Merlyn. Because the whole affair thing, because you're listening to the affair thing, and she's like, oh, I just had sex with him once. I'm like, alright, you wouldn't mention this in a case if it wasn't more important than that. I was like, alright, you get to the point where Moria had to team up with Malcolm, and, you know, her husband was saved because of Walter, which we haven't seen Walter in a really long time. I don't remember what happened to him. Maybe, I don't remember if he died or not, but yeah, we haven't seen Walter in a while. But yeah, so it's like, oh, it's connected to Walter, but I felt like there was more to that. And I even went on Twitter, I'm like, I feel like Thea's Malcolm's daughter. And yeah, Thea's Malcolm's daughter. And this makes things so much more interesting, because I feel like Thea, she's been a pretty well-grounded character in this season, and she is on the verge, because last season she was a very whiny character, not very developed, but now she's a strong character, and there's points where she could become whiny, but she's not, and I'm really surprised at that, because with CW, they really are not great with that. They usually make these type of characters who are angsty very whiny, and Thea's not. You kind of connect with her in this episode, and one of my favorite scenes, besides the last scene, has to be with Roy. Roy's like, you know, just punch me, and Thea just lets it all out, and I thought that was one of the cutest moments for them, and also showing a little bit about Thea. You know, she has to get some of this anger out, but they're not showing it totally, and then her being the daughter of Malcolm Merlyn, which I'm sure she's going to have to find out sometime this season, is going to make her even have more to handle, and what will this do to her? Her father really is a terrorist, and her mother is almost a terrorist. So it's very interesting. I'm very excited to see what happens with Thea's character. I think this makes her character even more interesting. Maybe getting to the step of becoming Speedy? I don't know. That's a little bit, saying a little bit too much, but I would love to see that, maybe more of a connection to her, becoming even more stronger character in that direction. But yeah, I think at least she's becoming a more interesting character, and, again, love the connection with Roy she had here. And that last scene, again, was it surprising to me? No. But it makes things interesting. And I like that Malcolm's back, and I don't remember, because I haven't seen the last episode of Season 1 since the last episode of Season 1 aired. And I don't remember if Malcolm knows that Oliver is the Hood. If he does, that makes things even more interesting. If he doesn't, then still, he's back. And I'm sure he'll be a prime subject in the mid-season finale, which I know is coming soon. I don't know if it's coming next week or the week after, but next week is Flash's episode, so we're going to see, Barry Allen's episode, so I'm excited for that also, which I don't know much about the episode, except that Barry Allen's going to be in it. One disappointment is I heard that, Man-Bat, Kate Spencer, was supposed to have something in this episode. Maybe I missed it, but I didn't really see anything about it, so maybe that's supposed to be for another episode. But I thought that would be a little cool, little tidbit they had in the episode, but I didn't really see anything there. So I was a little disappointed with that, because I wanted to see a little tidbit of her. Especially they were just saying on Twitter earlier. But honestly, I enjoyed this episode. I think with Vertigo was still a weak villain, in my opinion. I still don't love Vertigo, but the things that happened because of Vertigo was awesome. Vertigo's death just showing more Felicity and Oliver's relationship, and really the surrounding story of Moria's story. And I like that it's not, Arrow could do what Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is doing, making a one-shot story. But there's just so many layers going on in this episode. Sebastian Shaw, the flashbacks, Vertigo, Malcolm Merlyn, and that makes a good show, in my opinion, when you have these different layers that will come either later or maybe later in the episode. So even though Vertigo might not have been the primest villain, in my opinion, I still think there's amazing things that happen in this episode. Series just keeps getting better and better. I'm totally excited to see what happens with this whole Thea Malcolm Merlyn connection. Tell me in comments below, what do you think that's going to mean? Do you think this will change Thea's character in a way? Do you think Thea's getting a little suspicious that Oliver's always leaving? I think that could be interesting, because she was kind of in distress at this moment, and Oliver just leaves her. What do you think we'll see with Moria now that this whole thing has ended? Do you think she'll be put to the sidelines? Will she do the second, make another mistake and team up with Malcolm again? Because it seemed like old times in last scene. So will she make another mistake, or she'll be like, no, I really, I learned my lesson? And then Laurel also in this episode. Do you think she's going to keep taking drugs and drinking because of this? Because she just seems very in distress also. She doesn't even want to encounter Oliver after this, because she's doing her job, but she didn't really want it, because obviously she was going against Oliver. She wasn't being a good friend at all. When Oliver's like, oh, I totally understand, that kind of made things worse for her. A lot of interesting things here. Again, every character had something interesting. So definitely, I enjoyed this episode. Tell me your speculations in the comments below. Of course, I'll do a review next week for Arrow, and I hope you guys enjoyed. This is Comic Unknown, DarkAvengerINC, and guys, don't forget to follow me on Twitter for Comic Unknown and the Rant Situations, and don't forget to like my Facebook page. I'll see you guys later. Bye.